Welcome to Otakin with Dave, coming to you from his palatial fortress in Sin City, where what happens in Vegas is talked about everywhere. Put your hands together for the pastor of positivity whose glass is always at least half full. Here's Dave.
Hey, how we doing out there? I hope you're top shelf. I am top shelf myself, and you know what I am? I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this Diet Mountain Dew. That's what we're going to talk about today. I talk about it a lot. I do the gratitude posts. You may have seen them. They can be very serious. They can be whimsical. I'm still grateful, though. Every little thing. I don't care if it's, making a stop at a truck stop where I can get gas, use the bathroom, and get something to eat and get on my way. The trifecta. I'm grateful for that every time. I don't care if it's flippant, serious. What gratitude is almost like medicine you take to make you feel better and get better mentally, physically, in every way. And so one way I could do nothing but gratitude podcasts. There's enough material for that. There's enough sincerity for that. What I want to do today is just talk about I'll call it the three faces of gratitude. And that's from three different perspectives. When you win, when you lose, or when there's neither. Win, lose, or NAW. See what I did there? Anyway, it's important to understand just the framework and ground yourself with all of the humanity going on out there to different perspectives and to be able to connect to these different things, no matter what life throws at you. And that's what life does. That is life's job, to hurl things in your way and see how you take it. I remember in tennis, when we'd played tennis, I remember I played in college, and it's a total different level of preparation, but we would do drills over, until it just became second nature. And at first, certain things take you by surprise. I know at the net, we would come to the net, and you would hit against two people instead of just one. That way, it would come from everywhere. And then occasionally the coach would throw a lob up. Now you got three people. You had to be ready for whatever happened. And then, hopefully, out of repetition and experience, you got proficient at that. I am not talking today about problems coming your way necessarily. I am talking about no matter what life throws at you, there is something to be grateful for. There is. And I'm not just glasses half full, Pollyanna. Come on, Dave, give me a break. You golden boy that's never had anything bad happen to in your life, it's easy to be grateful. First of all, that ain't true. That ain't true at all. And I'll try not to be comical at that point because it is a serious statement. But I want to talk about three things. When you win, when you lose, and when it's neither, just every day. So let's talk about it. Gratitude and victory. That seems pretty easy, right? I won. I'm grateful. Boy, I'm grateful I didn't lose. But success can lead, especially repeat success, or you're on a roll. That can breed arrogance. Yeah. And arrogance it may not be the direct opposite, but gratitude does not show its face in arrogance much. Gratitude reminds us we didn't win this alone. I don't care what it is. We've heard people do whimsical acceptance speeches. Look, I have no one to thank. I did this all myself. Most of the time, they're kidding. It's true. So how do you show gratitude and success? Well, you thank the people that got you there. I remember the first time I won a President's Club thing where you go away on a company trip and, they have the videographers around and they would interview you real quickly. You know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? They would ask random questions. And I remember, you know, I come from a meager background, hadn't had a lot of success at this point, but I was starting to get on my roll. I didn't know it at the time. But my wife and I, we went on this cruise with a company, and everything was just so nice. And every step of the way, if I wasn't expressing gratitude, she was. Wow, look at that. Man, I'm so glad we got to do this. This is so nice. Well, when they came around to me, I was in a moment to where I was really feeling almost undeserving because the branch won something. I was the branch manager, so I got the reward. So I was almost feeling guilty. So I said, I just want to thank everybody in the Chattanooga branch for your hard work because I couldn't be here without you. And that was a sincere moment. I wasn't putting on any airs at all. I'm not trying to be humble now talking about it. It just came out because I was just so grateful. And that resonated. It resonated so much within that branch that they worked harder. They tried harder. Their goal was to get me back there because it was a reflection on them. So understand when you win how to express thanks I don't care if it's your managers, your coaches, your teammates, you know, the family, even point to, you know, I want to thank, you know, you win a tennis tournament. I want to thank the guy that beat the crap out of me last year in this tournament because it was a wake-up call. You know, maybe that taught you a lesson. But acknowledge people or forces or circumstances that contributed to your win. You know, if you close a major deal, pausing to thank someone. Recently, it was a tournament. I don't know. It could have been last year's Masters. I'm not sure. But it's when Scotty Scheffler won, and he was going to walk off. He wouldn't walk off without his caddy. He was waiting. Come on, you know, we're a team. And just that gesture, subtle gestures that mean something to somebody else. So it's important when you win. Don't be arrogant. You didn't do it by yourself. And you know what? If you're not gracious, you may be doing it by yourself. So don't do it for self-preservation. Do it because someone else helped you get there. Okay, let's switch gears. Gratitude when you lose. Ooh, ouch. I've never been grateful for a loss at the time. However, gratitude, it softens that blow and keeps us learning. You know, keep resentment out of there. You know, just thankful for the lessons, thankful for the experience. You know, hey, you know, the saying is, it's great. I either win or I learn. Okay, yeah, you do learn from that. And then there are those, that team that supported you and you didn't win, they may have worked just as hard. And understand that. You know, when you lose, other people are hurting too. And you showing gratitude helps their loss. You don't win alone. You don't lose alone either. And it can be something as simple as bad news at home. Bad news around playtime. You know, this is minor, but let's just say you've been looking forward to a golf weekend for months. It gets to that weekend, it's pouring down rain. You can't play golf. That is a loss. It really is. However, there's going to be things that you can do instead. It's not as fun. It's not what you counted on. But it may turn into something else. It may turn into preparation for the next time. It may turn into conversations with people you wouldn't have had otherwise. So it's very, you know, I know what you're saying, David, that's digging. I know, I get it. Even, you know, the loss, and this could be a personal loss, and, you know, we think of in competition reasons, but I can think of, you know, a death. That's a serious loss. People are watching how you handle these things, but being gracious. You know, when my mom passed, she had a long, drawn-out illness, and she had to have a lot of caretakers. At her funeral, I made a point to thank them because it was a horrible situation. Nothing good about it. However, it restored my faith in people. It restored my faith in caretakers, caregivers, things like that. So there was good that came of it. It could even be, and this is very personal, I don't want to get into it too much. It could be that maybe mom's better off than the quality of life. So there are being grateful, even in a loss. It's important. It's important for you to build character, but it's also important for other people, for your team, for those supporting you. You see athletes all the time when they lose, they still thank the fans, even the ones out there that were booing them. They're gracious to their competitors. Being gracious in defeat is a little tougher than in victory. I'd rather be around a gracious loser than an arrogant winner any day. Any day. So then let's talk about the third one. The third one would be, hey, it's just every day. Nothing really going on. Not a win or a loss. I think every day is a win, honestly, but not a noted win or a noted loss that you can point to. That's just when life is going along. Gratitude, noticing at these points, is very important. It helps. I guess it helps prevent that arrogance or that entitlement. Appreciating the little things as you go through your day. I just walk my dog, Ruby. Steph walks the crazy boys that are 8-month-old boxers, and I walk Ruby. We have a great time. I enjoy that time so much. I say things to Ruby I won't say to anybody else. Me and 7-year-old boxer Ruby hanging out. I know where she likes to poop. I know when she likes to stop and smell the roses, which is a lesson in itself. But I'm grateful for those times. It happens sometimes twice a day. I don't want to get to the point to where I'm not grateful for that. Time with her. There's a bonding with her. That's just everyday life. And I love it. Ordinary things. So if you feel it, maybe your health is not the best, but you feel better today, or you're not hurting as bad today. Grateful for a job, grateful for benefits. Hey, I was on the phone for however long talking to the insurance company. At least I've got insurance. There's something to be grateful for. And just little things. I don't meet a lot of neighbors out here in Vegas because it's so hot. They're all inside, and we don't have the party place like we did in California. But the neighbors I've met, they're good people. They're hard workers. They're out here in this heat. But I met a guy yesterday. It was so nice to meet him. Been here almost 2 years. He lives across the street. Never seen him before. But just that small little interaction. Yeah, we're both out here. We're going through a lot of the same things. And he said, if you ever need anything, call me. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. And vice versa. I travel a lot. So then, just real life stuff. At the end of a long, hard day, whatever that is, work, exercise, whatever, just being able to rest for a minute. For example, this is real. You may not relate to this, but it is so real. My son and I, we go, and my daughter, she started going with us, which is fantastic. She went to like a 4-day, all-day festival with us last year. Almost killed us all, but she was a trooper the whole time. But during these festivals, you do a lot of standing. You do a lot of weight shifting. You may be there watching, events for 12 hours or more at a time. And a lot of it, you get back to the hotel and you kick those shoes off and you lay back where you've been standing all day. It almost makes the whole thing worth it for that feel of relief. Now that's what I'm talking about. Or getting that shower and getting all that. See, those are common things everybody deals with. You almost expect. It's a bit of a reward for a lot of pain. Be grateful for all the things around that. If you've not experienced that before, you've experienced something similar. It's almost like a subtle reward for going through hard work, pain, a test, something like that. And that reward may be rest, a few moments of relief. But if you can be grateful for that, that's a step in the right direction. So win, lose, or no, be grateful. Notice things. The purple car theory really comes in when you talk about gratitude. Something you didn't even notice before. Now you notice it everywhere. We had rain for like 3 days. I don't like rain for 1 day. I don't like rain for more than a couple of hours. It's deep-seated. It's a loss if it rains all day, but there's something to take from it. But that rain for 3 days has caused things to bloom that it wouldn't otherwise. And I'm noticing these little flowers that are popping up. Well, now I'm noticing them everywhere. So that's that reoccurrence. It's the purple car theory. A lot of beauty around that wasn't before. I'm grateful for that. So that can be, noticing gratitude can be learned. Yeah. Now gratitude is also overused. I've overused it so far. But gratitude is like a lot of words. It's used so much, and sometimes it's used inappropriately to the point where it loses its power, loses its cachet. And so, a few of those things, and it's almost like the word amazing. When everything's amazing, nothing's amazing. Where people use these gratitude posts to the point to where, oh, you're not really grateful, you're just showing out. It's not my job to decide that. However, but some of them, like, some examples would be like, when somebody just throws in hashtag grateful, hashtag blessed. Oh, that's a big one. Hashtag blessed. I don't know. It bothers me a little bit. People tell me to have a blessed day. Every day is blessed, buddy. And I know who blesses it. Maybe that's a little too sensitive. I don't know. But some of these hashtag around gratitude, they're putting it on so much. And sometimes they're just bragging. I got to say, first of all, if you're going to go on vacation and take pictures of your feet, check your feet out first. Are they photo worthy, really? Maybe we don't want to see your feet. But anyway, to be at the beach, take a picture of your hooves and say hashtag grateful when you're really just trying to rub it in somebody's face. I'm at the beach and you're not. I'm not saying people do that, but it's what do they call that? A humble brag? A humble brag. Hashtag bite me. I'm not at the beach. I'm going in a couple of weeks though. Then you got, the thing that when it's diluted, like people use, I've heard of gratitude journals, and I'm pausing because I don't really know if I want to get into this too much. A gratitude journal, word has it people are putting gratitude journals together to show other people, or just to say they've done it. It's almost become like that vegan who had a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit for breakfast. When you're mindlessly checking a box around a gratitude journal or making it a post, you're journaling for show. It's more of a fad. It's meant to be a reflection tool. And gratitude journals, I think it's great. That's why I do the post, honestly, to post it, because I'm not a writer like that. I mean, I am a writer, but I don't refer to my journal, and I can't read my writing. What good is that going to do me? But some people are doing it for the wrong reasons, and that's a little judgmental on my part. I get it, but I do see it, and it's almost like the humble brag too, Then a lot corporately. Oh my goodness. I get in trouble with this, but a lot of corporate campaigns, having a culture of gratitude. We're going to force you to be grateful. You tell me 3 things you're grateful for now. Yeah, well, no, that's what won't. Give me 2 more. I don't like those other 2. And it's forcing a culture. A culture of gratitude, it doesn't have to be forced. It just happens. You've got kindness campaigns, and the face of that kindness campaign has had 3 write-ups in HR. They're mean as heck, but yet they're and kind. So these campaigns they seem less sincere. And they use the word over, and over. I get in trouble all the times with the kindness thing. I posted things about kindness people don't like. Sometimes being quiet and not saying something that needs to be said, that's unkind. You need to. That's just subtly harming them in a way. So a lot of these corporate gratitude campaigns, it's for show. It's for show. And then gratitude as like an emotional bypass. In a tough situation, just be grateful. Why don't you just be grateful? Why can't you just be grateful? And I'm going to do some more of that in a minute. But it can invalidate some feelings. Maybe they're going through grief right now. They're mad. They really don't understand what's going on, or they're terribly frustrated. Don't be telling them to be grateful. That is not the time to make them appreciate what they do have. They should. That's not the time. Time and place you're turning, what would be a good word for that? You're turning grateful into something toxic. Your positivity is toxic in that case. Read the room, man. Read that person. Now they just need to be heard. They don't need you to tell them to relax, appreciate what you got, and be more grateful. Wrong time, wrong place. And then I think people overuse gratitude in motivational content. Motivational content is everywhere. It's kind of what I do, but I see a lot of these posts and it's like, oh my goodness. Dude, you're just stating the obvious. Be glad. A day when you wake up is a good day. Any day above ground is a good. Okay, all right. Thank you. But when it's pasted everywhere, some of these things, whether it's a coffee mug or a sign or a meme or a poster. I love the motivational stuff. I really do. And I think a lot of this is well intended, but when it's overused and repetitive, and the most negative person around is holding that mug, and it not only hurts the message, sometimes it destroys the message. And these empty platitudes, sometimes the messenger is the wrong messenger. And so that's just some areas where, the word gratitude or being grateful, it's lost its power, its strength. And I don't like it. I don't like it because I think there's something to be grateful for in everything. Now, I may not be in the place to receive it at this moment, but when I'm on my game, I do. You go camping and you run out of clean water. When you come back, it's right there. I remember when we moved here, we have the little faucet that has some sort of special filtered water. You got to change the filter, and it's like, I don't have to drink out of the water bottles. I can just get that. That's a convenience. That's a modern convenience. So I go somewhere hiking or camping or whatever, and the supply of clean water is lacking. I'm so grateful just for that. I took it for granted the day before yesterday. You want to talk about being grateful? Well, I grew up in North Alabama, and I don't know why. I don't think they have this problem anymore. When I stay at my dad's, we don't have this problem. But the power will go out all the time. And so the power goes out. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 15 minutes. It could be 5 hours. You never knew when the power went off. But it was, you're watching TV, zip. How many times you go and flip that switch on? How many times do you go looking for something and you just always had it? You take it for granted. The lights, phone chargers now. How grateful are you for some juice for your phone when you're down to one bar? A bed. Isn't it wonderful to have a comfortable bed or a comfortable pillow? I sleep in a lot of beds, but something about the pillows I have at home. I love them. I love them. I was going through a deal a few weeks ago, and I still have a cough. Doesn't that sound awful? But it was so bad, I couldn't speak hardly at all. I had some real challenges, and that's a problem for me. Other people enjoy it when I can't. Anyway, just to be able to speak without coughing. something that would help with my allergies or whatever. Something to be grateful for. To go in. The other day I went in. We didn't have necessarily the food I wanted, and there was a container in there, and I was thinking, I'm hungry. I look in there. It was some leftover gumbo. Oh, and it was a good batch that I had made. Oh, that's perfect. So grateful for that. Just little things like that. Hot water, a hot shower. I grew up with 5 people in the house, 2 teenage girls. We had 1 bathroom. The pecking order. You could do 2, maybe 3 showers, and then you had to wait. You had to wait till the water heater filled back up. A hot shower sometimes. It's fantastic. Wi-Fi. Let's take it currently. You're struggling with something, all of a sudden, boom, a Wi-Fi connection. This is from the guy who never had a microwave growing up. We made toast in the broiler on the oven. We didn't have a microwave in the house. Within a week of having a microwave, I'm putting something in the microwave and, come on, what's taking so long? Really? Really? 5 minutes for a pot pie? It was an hour the old way. So I think that's what happens a lot. We get used to new stuff and we're less grateful for the old stuff. Your health, your friends, those are big things. So many different things that we can be grateful for. And we should be. That's why a gratitude journal, a real one, is not global type things. When I do a gratitude post, it just hits me. And you'll see I do them randomly. It's like, oh, man, that's awesome. That's good. I'm grateful for that. You know what? I'm grateful for this and this. It's that spontaneous. I wish we could be that way all the time. I wish we would laugh more. I am so grateful for people I can laugh with. People that I make laugh. That's just, that's a gift to me. If I can make you laugh and really enjoy the experience. Music is a gift. All kinds of music. Just to hear it, it changes my mood. It touches my heart. And when that happens, I'm so grateful. I really am. So there's it's all around you. Purple car, notice it. Notice it every time. It's not a burden to notice it. It's not a burden to write it down. It's just a show of gratitude. And sometimes it's, you wonder if it's genuine or not with some people. People can fake it. They can fake gratitude. You look at the acceptance speeches. The ones that are real versus the ones that are fake. So let's talk about that. True gratitude. And I'm not being judgmental. The reason I'm doing this is, are you showing true gratitude? For example, do you just say thank you? When you're expressing gratitude, do you just say thank you? Or are you specific? When you thank somebody for helping with something, thank you, I really appreciate that. Okay, that's one thing. It doesn't mean you don't appreciate it, but how do you make it more meaningful? I think you be specific. Thank you so much for staying and helping me finish this. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much for reminding me of that. If you hadn't done that, this is what would have happened. It just takes another second or two, but it's specific rather than, hey, thanks. Thanks. When you're accepting something and you win, I want to thank Kathy. I know how many nights she worked late. And she's on salary. She didn't get paid for that. She did it for the team. And I want you to know, I remember that. And I appreciate it. And over here, I remember Ronnie. I remember one night, here's what he did. Or on the weekend one time, blah, blah, blah. Be specific. That's real. It resonates them. It lifts them up. It's true gratitude. And they know it's sincere. It's a difference maker. If you can add detail instead of just thanks. So your trigger would be, instead of just saying thank you or thanks, it's thanks for noticing. Thanks thanks for bringing that food over. My goodness, I don't know what we'd have had to gone out and blah, 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 blah. Thanks for what? Boom. It adds that sincerity. And also, do you show gratitude in your behavior? Not just the words. Does gratitude either show in your actions, or is there a change in how you act with this stuff? Like if somebody helps you out, oh my goodness. I have helped people move before. Sometimes it's because they helped me move. Many times I will help somebody and then ask them to help me, or reciprocate, like I said. And that's it. Yeah, people have taken me to the airport. When they ask me to take them to the airport, absolutely. So I will reciprocate that. It's not just thanks. Yeah, thanks for taking me to the airport. I appreciate this so much. You have no idea how much this helped me out. And if I can ever help you out, you let me know and I will. And then when they ask you, you do it. That is gratitude. It goes back to what they did for you. And you don't do it because of that. You do it because you're grateful for that. And then, when things aren't going your way, can you find something to appreciate? Not just in the losses, but in the decline. This didn't go how I wanted, but you know what? I learned something from this. And instead of, it just disappears. You're just in a foul mood. You're kicking the can and kicking the cat and kicking whatever. This is how you can tell when someone has a gracious mindset. Even when things aren't going well, during the journey. A lot of times it's okay. You have a flat tire, you pull over, you've got wild animals or snakes in the area, and you say, well, at least it's not raining. And then the rain starts to fall. Things like that. There's always something to be grateful for. And then part of this would be, we talk about you having a culture or an air of gratitude. What about in private? In public, people can fake it. I am around people who fake it all the time. Have I ever faked it? Maybe. Not necessarily gratitude, but I've faked a mood. I've faked things before. I like to be genuine, but have I done it? Yes. But do you express gratitude times nobody sees it? Not just on the stage, not just in a meeting, or not just on social media. Bleh. But, part of it could be a personal note. People don't write personal notes anymore. Post-its are so prevalent, you can stick them anywhere. That's what they're designed for. But, my sister is so good at this. She'll write little notes and post them where people will find them. It's great. But also, people like that public shout out, but they don't get something in private. It's so easy. That put the hand on the shoulder. Thanks, man. Look how far we've come together. And I'm getting the credit tonight, but you've been right there with me the whole time. Or, I've seen people talk about their religion and they're a good Christian man. I've heard them do that before. Well, in private, I've heard them be the opposite. And I have seen them say a silent prayer when they knew no one was watching. The things that they do when no one is watching, I can think of so many circumstances. A lot of them are very personal, but that's when you see the truth. They say character is how you act when no one's watching. I agree. Gratitude, showing gratitude, little things, thank you notes. Some people are wonderful about sending cards or letters. Those are forever. It's wonderful. I've got a whole pile of them back here. I can't get rid of them because somebody took the time, not just to buy it, but to write a note in there. That's wonderful. And then does gratitude really shape the way you look at things? Not just an event or a moment or something coming up, a project, an award, a tournament, all of this. Is your general mindset one to where you appreciate things? Or do you focus on what's missing? This is tough. This is why I don't get along with negative people very well. They always focus on what's missing. So, Maybe you notice little small things in your role to be grateful for, but also small things other people do. By pointing out some of the things, the small things that you have in your role, that helps other people as well. I'm not saying do it all in public. I'm just saying generally we have in our jobs things we don't, the things we like least about what we have to do. It's a necessary evil. Maybe it's boring. Maybe it's painful. Maybe it is annoying. I don't know. It's part of the job. And if you see that as, if I could just get rid of that, that's not being grateful. You know, or if you're only grateful during the holidays or someone's birthday or your birthday, and it's not, if you can't be grateful at someone else's birthday party because they're so happy, you got a lot of questions you need to answer about yourself. So is gratitude in your outlook, or just when things are going just right? So a lack of gratitude just makes people impatient. I mean, unpleasant, not impatient. Well, could be the other. People that aren't grateful, they're unpleasant. And it will erode your psyche. It'll erode your well-being, but also relationships. I mean, if you're trying to do something in a company, it could affect your career path. It's definitely going to affect your relationships at home if you're not grateful. That's showing gratitude makes people want to do it again. Yeah, and your kids are watching. And then, gratitude in your playtime, just being grateful to have that. It should be there. So, but how does a lack of gratitude impact your world? Well, first of all, your entitlement increases. Without gratitude, people start to believe that they deserve this. I deserve it. I won this 3 years in a row. 4 years, that's a shoe-in. I've got this down. And then that whole mindset, once you feel like you're entitled, here comes impatience and selfishness and disconnect from other people. Your work ethic is in trouble because, hey, I deserve this. I deserve it. Everybody knows I deserve it. I remember a couple of promotions came along, and we'll just talk about one I got, and everybody was like, it's the worst kept secret in the company. Everybody knew you were going to get that. Okay. All right. Well, after a while, I'm thinking, well, I did deserve this. And it affected me once I thought I did. Instead of being grateful that I got it, I thought I deserved it. And then when I didn't get something I thought I deserved, oh, it's hard. What's wrong with these people? Are they not watching? So entitlement increases when gratitude goes away. Also, your relationships, they get weaker. If people don't feel appreciated, they're going to go somewhere where they feel appreciated. They're going to disengage from you if you're taking them for granted. Over time, whether it's a friend, a colleague, a partner, whoever, they'll pull away. And it's going to lead to isolation. They're going to resent you, and you know what you're going to do back? You're going to resent them back. Wow. You're going to blame them for pulling back when it's your lack of gratitude weakened the relationship. And then you can't underestimate the effect on your mental health, mental decline. We'll call it that way. Mental health means so many things to so many people. But it shows up in studies that gratitude is linked to lower stress. When you're grateful, you got more positive to think about. When you're not, it's more negative to think about, which leads to depression. And you can control this. You just got to look for it. So without gratitude, negativity is dominant. It gets in your inner narrative. You're just like, I can't believe I didn't get that. I deserve that. Everybody knows I deserve that. You know what? And you start blaming people. And you're distracted. And it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. Things aren't going to go as well. You're negative. You may become depressed. You're blaming people. People are withdrawing because you feel like you deserve it. It's a downward spiral for sure. And then what happens is, personal growth, professional growth, social growth, all of that, it just stalls. It could decline, but at least it stalled. But a grateful person can learn from feedback. If you're not grateful, you don't show a sense of gratitude, you don't want the feedback. You've got this figured out. Come on. An ungrateful person is just going to blame other people. They don't want self-reflection because they're not going to like what they see, so they avoid it. And then they repeat the same mistakes, that same lack of gratitude. They get the opportunity to turn around. However, they're so deep in the blame game, they don't do it. And then any credibility you have as a leader at work, leading your family, trying to influence things, in your leisure time, your credibility's gone. In your work life, leaders who don't show gratitude are going to find themselves taking a walk with nobody behind them. General appreciation. It builds trust. It builds morale. It builds loyalty. I got a podcast coming up on loyalty. My goodness. If I didn't prepare and really dig into that, it'd be 4 hours long. Loyalty is the key to everything. Appreciation bolsters loyalty. Yeah. So the consequences, it's bad. I mean, entitlement increases, relationships weaken, your mental health declines, any growth, any momentum you have stalls, and you lose your credibility. Yeah, there's no way around that, the blame game. You just look at leaders. Thank you for whatever. When you quit saying that and start strutting around and believing your own press, you're in trouble. The morale of the team's gone. Retention's gonna be a problem. People don't want to work for you. People don't want to be around you. So retention numbers will go up, and you'll blame other people for that. And then at work, you're not going to be innovative. Things aren't going to change for the positive because you're entitled. Parents, it's the same. But the bad thing is the parent that doesn't show appreciation, your children are going to become entitled. Your children are going to have an emotional disconnection. Children or, partner, whatever. You're going to have a weaker bond with your family. Your kids aren't going to be tough. They're entitled now. They're not going to be tough. Their emotional resilience is, just because you modeled that behavior. And it's going to take a generation or more to get over it. So you're hurting your kids. I will do a lot of things that hurt me, but if you tell me it's going to hurt my kids, hello, you got my attention. And my wife has been a teacher. You think about that. Students, it's the same thing. If you don't show appreciation as a teacher, your students are going to be apathetic. They don't care. Classroom culture. It's not a culture of learning now. It's almost going to be a precursor to work. They're going to be burnt out. They don't want to do their homework. They're not going to do their homework. Why should they have to do homework? And then you're missing teachable moments. I can think of teachable moments in every grade that I had, and then in college. There were teachable moments that because that teacher was engaged and I respected them and they had some gratitude in their life, I was open to that teachable moment. Otherwise, nope. And then as a teacher, you got enough problems with students, but students' parents, a lack of gratitude there, they're going to read right through it because they got their own issues. So, homework, play, it's very prevalent, the challenges when gratitude is missing. So let's talk about ways to be more grateful, ways to stay more grateful, and just generally show gratitude. And a lot of this is take time daily. Whether I'm having a quiet time or a relaxing moment, clear my mind, whatever, I like to think of 3 things I'm grateful for. Write it down or not. 3 things. And that's a lot of times that's when I'll do those gratitude posts. You need something consistent there. Just 3 things. If you can't come up with 3 things, you need to take another minute and clear your mind. if I go in the back by the pool with a cup of coffee, right there's two. Cup of coffee and a pool. And, narrowing it down to three should be your problem. But do this. I mean, if you want to write it down, that's great. The good thing about writing it down is a year from now, if you'll look back to this date, look at what I was grateful for. That's so simple. Oh, I remember what I was going through at that time, and that did mean the world to me. Boom. That's a seed. That's a time bomb. I love it. Also, saying things out loud. It's got more power when you say words to it. When you, like we said earlier, thank you for what? And it's, sometimes it's the pat on the back, it's the rubbing the shoulder and giving the look. Yeah, well, go ahead and say the words. Say what you're thinking. During a meeting, if somebody is looking at their watch and, clicking their pen or whatever, it'll mean a lot if you go up to them and just say, hey, thanks for your patience during that meeting. It helped me focus. Well, that just might be the way but it's you're saying it, and you can turn someone that was uninterested into something but be honest with it. When you are grateful, say it, speak it out loud, bring it to life. Another thing with complaints, we all have complaints. I don't care how grateful you are, you're going to have complaints. And gratitude doesn't mean ignoring problems, rooms for improvement, or complaints in general. Let's just change the way we look at it. If you're frustrated, think, what can I learn from this, instead of, this just sucks. Why is this happening to me? Why now? Why? There is something hidden in this. How can this help? I didn't see that coming. Next time I will. I didn't know they were going to push back in this area. That's good to know. Now I can address that. Thank you for letting me know your point of view, because I was not in tune with that. When you thank someone for their complaint, sincerely, not like in the debates, thank you for asking that question. That drives me crazy. That's what they're here to do, dude. They're going to ask you questions. So sincerely reframing that is something we can learn from. If you're facing a tough situation with somebody else, I know this is hard, but thanks for being here. We'll work through this together and we'll get there. So many times that partnership, it builds camaraderie. And then, I'm telling you, it's old as time, but a thank you note, handwritten, a thank you voicemail. They can hear it in your voice if you still have voicemail. A thank you text, it's not as good as a thank you note. However, just something a little extra. And it would be cool. I know people who do this a lot. They get up every day and it's almost a ministry to them. But, maybe you have one person a day. Think of how many people let's make it very sterile. Let's say you've got 30 people that are near and dear to your heart. Okay, well, one time a month, send them a thank you note. Leave them a voicemail. Send them a thank you text. Thought about you this morning. If you got 60 people, every 2 months. Whatever, but you just put that and you wake up today, all right, boom. This is my person. Very good. I'm thankful for that person. You'll reflect on some things. Why are you thankful for them? It's a great way to start a day. And just, hey, remember the time? So, boom. You've brightened their day. And that is, you can call it forced gratitude. No, it's a reminder for gratitude. And then I guess the last thing I'll say is act on it. If you're grateful, act on it. I mean, we talked about saying it out loud, doing notes or whatever, but show appreciation through your actions. Help them with something. Donate your time. My goodness, if their kids are selling something, buy it. Or just show up. We had a deal in the cul-de-sac. If somebody's garage door was open, hey, you're welcome. Well, to go in a garage door I hadn't been in a while, to stir up a conversation that I'm not used to stirring up. using the old Ben Duffy approach. It's a sales approach, but you see this guy across the street constantly on his front porch when you go to get the mail. And this is a real situation. Walk over there, introduce yourself. I see you all the time. My name's David. It's good to know I've got a neighbor that blah, blah, blah. And talk to it. Be grateful for them. Let your gratitude be someone else's encouragement. There was commercials for a while where it would show someone helping someone. Someone would see that and then would in turn help someone else. Someone would see that and in turn help someone else. Gratitude is contagious. It really is. However, it's also self-inflicted. Yep. The only cure is to give it to somebody. And it will go on and on and on. So I believe that with all my heart. So be grateful. When this is over, I would pause, but hey, be grateful. And when we finish, when I start the riveting bumper music, and you cut this off, just think, all right, what am I grateful for right now, in this moment, no matter where you are? It's good. It's a good habit. I like to start my day that way. Hope this helps. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your support. Please hit me up at dave@otalks.com or david@otalks.com. Got a lot of stuff going on. I'm getting a lot of emails. I'm getting a lot of, we'll just say I'm grateful for the exposure I'm getting right now. I appreciate it, and I owe it to you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for writing me emails. Thanks for the encouragement. I appreciate you so much. And you know what else? Thanks for Talking with Dave. Giddy up.